Welcome to Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's items only, the investment we're going to talk today would be Ethereum TKTH. First, I want to say happy Saturday, everybody. We're a great weekend so far. Respective recording time of 9:31 a.m. on the Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $3,310, up about 1.28% so far. Respect to overall crypto market, is seems like it's reviving from the consecutive days of oscillations, or frankly, more of a mental sparring sessions that we've been having with the market, right? And we've been keeping tabs ever since basically last weekend, as the beginning of the race. With Christine Lagarde being the starter, on her depictions talking about a suspicious warning pointing at cryptocurrencies. Right, she's always been relatively bearish, with her negatory dynamics, speaking negatively against crypto assets, right, calling it fraud, calling it suspicious warning, as I mentioned, right. And subsequent to that, we had that anticipatory pressure, ahead of the FOMC meeting, that we heard a little bit more from Jerome Powell on the timing for quantitative tapering, but also some foreshadow indicator with respect to crypto assets on their crypto bills, from Don Byers has been initializing the 57 pages document on basically subjectively list out all the instructions and like what's to do, what's not to do, etc., right? And as we heard that, obviously the US dollars appreciate because of the tapering timeline. Seems like it's postponed a little bit with non-confirmatory signal from Jerome, which, he said based on the whole meeting, he basically repeat himself and saying that we don't know yet, we still need to, triangulate the job numbers versus obviously the asset purchasing, the $120 billion that we do on a monthly basis. And by that, the market, kind of rally, but also at the same time anti-correlates with the crypto market for it to sell down a little bit. Right, so as that happened, despite this early spike, which we saw a little bit in the green candles here, we heard the big news, right? The China crackdown news, talking about them, mandatorily shutting down 10,000 mines in China, which subsequently with that as a fear mongering, and I don't know if this might be a cry wolf type of situation now, because we have heard this type of news 7 times prior, so this is the 8th time now. So can we really take this serious anymore? We get it. China is trying to enforce some regulatory pressure, and just based on the the government characterization, they are a communist country. So we understand it, and we have to be, obeying the country as a whole, as globally will further get adopted. But China is gonna come into its senses, I think, eventually, right? And then the next news, another opposite side of the spectrum in terms of macro catalyst, with respect to on Thursday night, right? Jerome Powell depicting that he has no intentions of banning crypto at all, right? And as a confirmatory signal, he said that, right, in his specific verbiage, right? So with that stamp of approval, Jerome Powell, he's like the Bank of US, basically, right? And with his verbiage being so confirmatory, it's also saying like US has no intentions of banning crypto, right? So domestically speaking, it's obviously drives some buying pressure. But as that news got spread up into the China market or other side of the world globally, that also gave the other side of the world people's confidence, right? Because there are a lot of whales coming out from US as well. There are a lot of whales coming out from China. So it's kind of like the battle between US and China in a way. Obviously on the topic of cryptocurrencies, right? So on top of that affectation, we also, if this even makes sense, the pseudo, it's with respect to the negative news that we've been hearing so far on the Evergrande and the equity market tanking in Hong Kong, that also subsided in a way. And also with respect to the COVID variants news, seems like that's also, trending or progressing in the right directions as well. So all of these news massage into the stew, or the soup that we're seeing in front of us, aka the price level that we are looking into the market dynamics at the moment, right? So let's take a look at all the other ingredients in the soup, which are the news media affectation front. So CNBC 16 hours ago talked about a doodle used to create Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT collection sells for $1.2 million in a Christie auction. So Gary Vaynerchuk holds a token called V Friends, VEE Friends, and with this, I think he's selling this doodle that looks like a thunderbird or like a parrot. You know, I don't know what the hell this is. It looks like someone that like a 5-year-old kid draws in a kindergarten or something like that, and he's selling that picture for $1.2 million in the Christie auction. So I don't get it, but eventually we have to get used to it. Seems like NFT commercialization is something that is cultivating, and people are dropping big money to buy these pictures. I mean, art is something that we it's hard for me to understand because I don't know. I'm not subject matter expert in arts, and nor do I know how to appraise a piece of art. So that's interesting, right? People are buying a doodle for $1.2 million, right? I'm shocked. So the next one is Bazinga 16 hours ago talk about DeFi explodes. Asset under management 936% up in 1 year. So this is talking about with respect to the total value, right? After being adjusted by weight. Right, so some asset management companies hold multiple different currencies, and they basically spread all the cryptocurrencies in peanut butter fashion, and then adjust for the total adjustable percentage of growth that they've incurred. Right, we know some altcoin grew by like 10,000% in the last 1 year so far. Some grew by like 40%. So weighted averagely, it calculate up to an adjustments of close to 1,000% growth, basically. And the next one at Bazinga's 23 hours ago, which we talked about already, is with respect to the China crackdown. The 10,000 mines that's being shut down is subsequently going to drive some extraordinary supply shock into the market. Obviously, with a mine being shut down, you're going to cut off some circulations, for the mining activities. So when that happens, obviously will drive some imbalance, which is one of the reasons, beside the revival and the Jerome Powell news, we're also seeing some buying pressure, some surge, right? And then the last one is coming out from Cointelegraph about 13 hours ago, talk about Umbrella Network, which is a decentralized Oracle service to launch on Ethereum with a cross-chain bridge to BSC. So this is something we have heard already, I think 2 days ago, talk about their launch on the Ethereum value proposition. So it seems like more corporations are utilizing this. Seems like the Ethereum proposition is getting the words out there in corporate America, which is something we appreciate. So with respect to the news, that's pretty much it. There are a lot of good news, but is this substantive? If we've been reading the news so far, we've known these for quite some time now. It's just about how you stitch them together, and how you formalize your execution strategy for your price levels, right? So with respect to Ethereum, just to go through them quickly, we are in a bullish setup right now. I would say most subtle bullish setup right now. Let's talk about this, right? So we did touch the $3,350, which is the level of the next substantiveness. But for us to get to the next level, that will be the next another $100 from here, the 3,450 or 72. I think 3,450 is just fine. We are forming a golden cross right now, which we have crossed recently on the 1st of October because of the Jerome news. However, on the 54 out of 70. So in terms of leap up, for us to keep going up all-time high with a large gap to be filled, right, the 3,850, which is the next one, would be quite difficult for us to reach all the way up there without breaking the chart, right? So I think the perfect world, what would be the perfect scenario, right? We will be oscillating on a sideways fashion from 3,150 versus 3,450. We just keep oscillating from there, and eventually we build a longer platform, and RSI will have no choice but to go back down to like the 30s. And by that point, you cool down the MACD to the point that you might form just like a straight line, like very long, elongated straight line, to the point that you have to cross again. right? But you have to obviously oscillate, so you have to cross up and down, up and down, up and down to the point that you deplete the RSI, and then eventually at the one last surge, you form an apex, right? I would say more like a descending triangle, and then you will surge up as the next all-time high again. So that's typically how the technical was set up. If it's too complex, I'm happy to address that again or explain this a little further. So with respect to Bitcoin, right now we have a relatively funky cross section with the 60 out of 70, and you have a relatively large next leap up. You have another $5,000 to leap up to the next resistance levels, or more optimistically, another 3,500 as the next leap up. It's possible, but I don't think we'll actually reach the 50 anytime soon because of the fact that you are relatively overbought at this level right now. So I'll kind of stay away. Maybe come back down at the 43 to dollar cost average, or wait until the 40 because the setup is still overbought at the current level right now. So it's not the most ideal buying level at the moment. Dogecoin is relatively bullish right now, I would say, with the 44 out of 70, so we're not extremely high or extremely low. We're at the neutral level. At the same time, we formed a cross recently, so I think more bullishness is coming. So I think, the dip was technically the 20 cents or the 19 cents if you even got luckier. Cardano, we are slowly forming a golden cross right now with the 48, so we're close to 50. So I think Cardano in near term should technically surge up a little bit, ideally to the 240, 235. That's quite possible based on how the setup is right now. And I think we might even get to like the 250 and then cool back down again, because by then you'll be at the 70. Solana, we're up about 11.23% right now, so we are bullish because we are forming a golden cross. However, the golden cross will not last for a long time because we're at the 61 out of 70, so that means we are very, very overbought at this level right now. We're not screaming extremely overbought like the way we were yet, but I'll watch it, keep an eye out for you guys. But I think, technically, if we get a leap up, I think testing the 200s again wouldn't be surprising to me. Contingent on the news, obviously, on how's that going to shake out, right? And I think this is relatively interesting. This could be an early inning of a head and shoulder pattern, right? And we have to form these type of heads and shoulders, right? Right now we just have like one big shoulders or like a small, I don't know what this is, like a small bump, but something we have to watch. But in near term, definitely bullish. However, this gets canceled out by the RSI because we are overbought right now. So definitely risk high. Next one is XRP. We did form a golden cross with the 50 out of 70 right now. So buying at the $1 was the right move. 88 was the dip, like I kept mentioning. It is golden. It is a golden cross that's formed right now. So I think reaching to the 110 would be very logical. Polkadot. Polkadot is very comparable to Solana at the moment. We have that head, and then we also have that little shoulder. So we do have a head and shoulder, despite the surge right now. And you could see the technical is relatively abnormal in shape. We're still at the 54 out of 70. So I think this is not going to be long-lived. I will probably wait off a little bit. Again, the dip was $25, right, per our technical analysis we've been talking about so far. The level that we at right now is not substantive at all, and the risk is relatively high. So something to be mindful of, right? So with respect to the cheat sheet, we know that we're within the anger stage, even though it doesn't come off as obvious as it looks like, right? Because they're not supposed to be the same, right? It would not be logical for them to be identical, but we know that the market will be oscillating on a sideways fashion, or some days gonna be green, some days gonna be red, and it's again, right? It's like a mental sparring game, like I kept mentioning before, right? And you have to be just mentally strong to control your feelings and not let your feelings buy. You have to understand that some of the news has been relatively coincidental, right? Why October 1st? Why Jerome Powell says this all of a sudden? Why couldn't he say it in the FOMC meeting, right? Why didn't no reporters raise that question at all, right? And why didn't they try to blow it up that way at that time? Why now? You know what I'm trying to say? And to stay within the same sanity, also frame of reference, and not using your emotions is really just like look at things logically. 3,150, 2007, 2,450 would be the level dollar cost average in a risk perspective, right? And if you bought at 4,000, just hold long term, 9,800, 3.1 times your money going forward. And I think we have a logical progression to get even higher. So I was at a wedding last night. I talked to one of my friends that works at Goldman. He used to be working at a trading desk at JP as well. And he said something about like there's a model in JP Morgan right now that's they've been building. There's a price target for Ethereum to reach anywhere like close to $300,000 in the next 5 to 7 years. So he's gonna send that to me, but obviously it's a confidential thing. So I'm just telling you right now. But it's interesting. I don't know enough about what he said because he's an economist. He's a quantitative researcher as well. A lot smarter than me. He's more of a numbers guy, and he's also in the markets and the equity side, the security side as well. So I'll learn more and see how that goes. But different banks have different speculations on the tapering timeline and obviously the crypto growth rate going forward or the price target. So we learn and we take that into our consideration, but we have to obviously read that with a grain of salt, right? So I'll do more research and do some homework for you guys. I really appreciate you. It's a Saturday, so thank you so much for dropping by and watching my videos. You guys are diligent investors, like seriously. But yeah, feel free to ask me any questions and stay tuned for us to come up. Take care.